Right now on Fox 28 News at 9.
Protecting the most vulnerable from the dangerous cold.
I have 4 or 5 blankets even in my wheelchair that I put on.
How Cedar Rapids organizations are stepping up to make sure everyone stays warm.
Severe cold of a historic nature coming to eastern Iowa. We'll tell you what you need to know in your Weather First forecast.
And just how rare is this historic cold snap? I'll have the answer.
Plus, the cold snap will put your home to the test. What you can do to help keep everything up and running.
From Broadcast Park and crews across the corridor working for you, you're watching the most complete newscast of the day. Fox 28 News at 9 begins now.
And right now, dangerous, potentially life-threatening cold air is descending on Iowa. This is a live look at the Pentacrest at the University of Iowa. They've called off a full day of classes for tomorrow for the first time in nearly a decade.
We have Weather First team coverage for you tonight. Fox 28 News reporter Gabriela Vidal is at Willis Dady Shelter tonight to show us how they're working overtime to keep people warm. Meteorologist Brandon Marshall will explain just how historic this weather is going to be. But first, Chief Meteorologist Terry Swales is here now. And Terry, looks like we're on our way to shattering records.
Sure looks that way, Karen. The polar vortex, that's something we've all probably heard of by now. That is some of the most intensely cold air on the planet. Usually that resides up near the North Pole. That is now bodily moving southward into the upper Midwest, and it is going to generate all-time record cold here in eastern Iowa. At this moment, we're at 13 below in Cedar Rapids, but nearly 20 below in some of our northern counties, and that wind continues to blow up to 30 miles per hour. So the wind chill in Cedar Rapids has already hit 41 below zero. We do have wind chill warnings in effect now, and these will last all the way through noon on Thursday. This is going to be a prolonged period of intense cold here in eastern Iowa. You can see some of our wind chills will be in the range of 50 to 60 below zero here later tonight and early tomorrow morning. Currently, temperatures already down to 20 below in New Hampton and Decorah, minus 17 in Owine. Still a little better down in the south, but the cold continues to push in that general direction. Toss in the winds out there right now, and the wind chill in New Hampton has hit 50 below zero, minus 47 degrees in Decorah, and everybody will be seeing numbers like that by the time we get to tomorrow morning. The good news here is there's really not much on the radars, just a few scattered flurries, and those will be kicking out of here. And so by tomorrow morning, temperatures will start at 29 below and reach only 19 below for a high temperature tomorrow afternoon. And for more on just how dangerously cold this type of air is, we take you to meteorologist Brandon Marshall.
And when we talk about this historic cold, we're not just talking about the potential record-breaking temperatures, but just how long we are going to be below zero. And by our calculations, we're thinking roughly around 72 hours, which is about 3 days. And I dug through the record books, and only 6 times on record have we had more than 3 or more days that we've spent consecutive below zero. The last time was in 1996 when we were below zero for 4 straight days. Now at the bottom of your screen, the bottom part of that graphic, we've had a couple times on record where our temperatures have dropped to 27 to 28 below zero, but the record all-time cold temperature for Cedar Rapids is 29 below zero. That occurred 11 years ago, back in 2009. So we have a chance to break that not only tonight, but tomorrow. Our temperature right now is minus 13, and just for perspective, on the other halfway across the world in Antarctica, which is typically a cold place to be, at the Palmer Station, the temperature is 32 degrees, and that is above zero. So Karen, the penguins are awfully warmer than we are right now here in Iowa.
It is downright balmy at the North Pole. Thank you. In Antarctica anyway. Just into the Fox 28 newsroom, more than 200 Mid-American customers are without power right now in Waterloo. A Mid-American representative tells Fox 28 News it is weather related. The online outage map you see here says the time of restoration is expected to be around 1 o'clock in the morning. Organizations across the corridor are taking steps to make sure everyone has a place to stay during these brutal temperatures. Fox 28 News reporter Gabriela Vidal explains where people can go to be safe and warm. Gabby?
Karen, this is one of the places. I'm at the Willis Dady Homeless Shelter for Men and Families. This shelter and their emergency overflow shelter are already open now, but will remain open until noon on Thursday to help cater to their clients from this cold. But they're also getting some help from other services in the community to help keep people warm during this cold.
Around this time of weather, there's no way, had I been in my own place, I would not be out under no circumstances.
Cassandra Nelson says even in the winter, there's not many places to keep warm after shelters close.
I have 4 or 5 blankets even in my wheelchair that I put on, plus extra clothing, layers of clothes just to stay warm.
Even 5 minutes outside this week can be dangerous for her, which is why the Cedar Rapids Library is expanding its hours.
And just that little bit of extension of time helps people who are leaving shelter and need a place to go directly. It also helps families when children aren't in school and they've got no warm place to be during the day.
And it was a blessing this morning to come in and they had things that we can eat and hot drinks to keep warm.
Willis Dady staff say even though both shelters will stay open during the day, they appreciate having more services to protect against the cold.
Regardless of the number coming in, we won't turn anybody away. It's mostly just a space and accommodation issue. You know, we have 2 very small little restrooms. We don't have any showers. We don't have any laundry, and we don't have any food facilities.
But she says people in the community are lending a helping hand with food and clothing donations, while library staff are keeping spirits warm in other ways.
We've got some activities for people to do so that they're not bored on a really cold day.
This is helping a whole lot of people. Otherwise, people wouldn't have anywhere else to go.
Willis Dady workers say they are looking for more donations in the form of gloves and hats to help keep their clients warm if they do venture outside, but also recommending that anyone who sees someone walking outside alone in the cold to reach out to them, ask where they're going, and contact police if you see someone outside in the cold that may need help. Covering the corridor in Cedar Rapids, Gabrielle Vidal, Fox 28 News.
Cedar Rapids Transit will be offering free bus rides tomorrow and Thursday during regular service hours. Willis Dady says this will keep their clients from walking to the library and risk getting frostbite or hypothermia in the cold. Riders are encouraged to check bus times online to limit their wait time outside. The wicked cold weather is forcing many schools, organizations, and businesses to close. A full list is scrolling at the bottom of your screen now, and it's also available online at fox28iowa.com. An update tonight on the effort to help Cedar Rapids students who rely on school for some of their meals. There are now more drop-off locations for Pop-Up Pantry CR. The effort started this past Saturday for children and families who rely on free and reduced school lunches. You'll find a list of where and when you can donate or pick up food at fox28iowa.com.
We are now descending into the grip of this week's dangerous cold snap. It's set to shatter records and put your heating system to the test. Fox 28 News reporter Nick Weig shows us how you can protect yourself and your home from the elements as much as possible and save yourself from a costly heating problem.
No, that's not as bad as I thought it would. Ooh, there we go. All right, let's admit it. It's not going to be easy to do this, especially now that we're below zero and some of the snow drifts can be several feet deep. But you've got to make sure that your gas apparatus is free of any snow.
Uncover the vent portion of that. There's a little round disc on those gas meters. That needs to breathe to have gas pressure in your house. Use your hands, don't use a shovel because you don't want to break the pipe.
Of course, any heating system needs air, and it's going to have to bring that air in from the outside. So you want to make sure that your intake pipe is free of any snow or ice that's collected. Some posts going around social media tell homeowners to turn up the thermostat to protect their heating system. Alliant Energy says it really depends on your home.
If your house isn't the best insulated, if it's an older house, if you let the inside drop too much, the core where the thermostat is might drop to 65, but the very edges where you have the water in your walls might drop below freezing if it's not insulated very well.
Alliant says its grid is standing up well to the weather, but if an outage occurs, the weather won't keep their crews from getting you back up and running.
Our crews are on standby and they're ready to go to repair anything, but so far we've not seen many issues. Fingers crossed, that's what we're all hoping for.
We also spoke to several heater repair companies who say they are adding resources to keep up with demand, making sure no one goes without heat for long. Issues ranging from frozen pipes to simple mechanical fixes due to aging systems. And with snow piles across the area getting as high as, let's say, a mailbox, now would be a good time to take special care of that around your box so that letter carriers can get access as easily as possible in the snow and cold. Covering the corridor in Marion, Nick Weig, Fox 28 News.
And the men and women who deliver your mail will catch a break. It is so dangerously cold. The U.S. Postal Service says they will not deliver mail tomorrow in Iowa. They are not picking up mail from businesses or collection boxes either. And there will be no residential or commercial package pickup. Retail operations at local offices will be available, but may be limited. And before you step out the door, check out our weather app so you know exactly what to expect. You can see the hour-by-hour forecast and what's coming up later in the week. It's free. You'll find it under CBS2 WX in the Apple or Android App Store.
Extra stocking caps, extra set of gloves, ice spikes or yak tracks to put on our boots.
Not everyone can stay indoors during this deep freeze. The extra steps first responders are taking to stay safe while they still help you.
And local restaurants are also keeping an eye on the mercury, how they're working to keep up service and make sure their staff are safe too when the Fox 28 News at 9 returns.
Now you can get Fox 28 News and weather updates on your Amazon Echo. Download the Alexa app, click on settings and go to flash briefings. Click add content and search Fox 28 Iowa. Select and click enable. Everywhere you need us to be, Fox 28 News.
Schools and businesses across the corridor are closed tomorrow out of caution for the cold, but some workers cannot take a break.
That's right, Karen. Fox 28 News reporter Kayla James shows us how first responders are working through the cold to keep you safe.
Extra stocking caps, extra set of gloves, ice spikes or yak tracks to put on our boots.
As the cold temperature drops, Cedar Rapids firefighters pile on the equipment to heat up.
And we have approximately an additional 65 pounds that we're carrying.
Captain Brent Smith says winter brings on different challenges in warmer months, from additional uniforms.
All of our engines have ice suits on them.
To the equipment on each truck.
We use additional hose. If the hoses freeze up, we have duplication in some of those systems to make sure that we're still able to operate the way that we need to.
Another seasonal change, the types of calls and how teams respond. Captain Smith says it's not uncommon to receive calls for falls during the summer, but in the winter, crews may react differently.
We will be going lights and siren to that call, knowing that the elements, frostbite can happen within 5 minutes with the wind chills the way that they are.
There's a spike of house fires between January and February due to space heaters, furnaces, and even candles.
We have pets that roam the house that tip those over. We may have a breeze from the heater that grabs that drapery just right.
Winter, like other seasons, is all hands on deck for the team of 147 members.
We have paramedics on each one of our engines.
But it's a challenge they're happily ready to accept to keep the people of Cedar Rapids safe. Covering the corridor in Cedar Rapids, Kayla James, Fox 28 News at 9.
And the area ambulance team tells Fox 28 News they have extra equipment, including shovels, to clear a path or pry open homeowners' doors during any emergency.
And brutally cold weather is sweeping into eastern Iowa. I'll have the latest on the Siberian Express and what it means for you in the Weather First forecast after this.
Listen throughout the day for your Weather First forecast on I-1071 All the Hits when you're away from your TV.
Many corridor businesses are shutting down tomorrow to keep their employees from coming into work. Fox 28 News reporter Eva Anderson speaks with corridor restaurants. They're making some staffing adjustments to make sure you can still have a place to get a hot meal.
We kind of have like a second winter break.
Ella and Brecken Bartles need a place to spend their endless snow days. So Mom's thankful there's a place to take them, to serve them warm lattes and their favorite comfort food.
The pancakes.
We're here for the neighborhood and everybody needs a hot cup of coffee.
So Wednesday, Brewhemia will still be open.
5:35.
Without any extra staff. Serving up steaming beverages will just be the two owners. Down the road, Dash also wants to provide a cozy spot to wake up and warm up.
Obviously, it's freezing,
but making adjustments for staff safety.
We decided this week to keep our staff and our community safer by just being in before sundown and shutting down a little earlier.
By dinner time, dining crowds are hit or miss.
We have noticed there's been some decrease in business.
But knowing there will be hungry families with cabin fever, Richard Pankey's still keeping Butcher Block open till 11 p.m., keeping an extra eye on service workers.
They all go out to the cars accompanied, the cars are starting.
And because these restaurateurs stick it out in the cold,
we want everybody to be safe, but at the same time, a lot of people do get stir crazy.
Ella and Brecken's mom is thankful there's a place for all of you who may be too cold to cook. Eva Anderson, Fox 28 News.
And now to the Fox 28 Road Warrior, taking a look at current road conditions. Reporter Nick Weig has the latest. Nick?
Yeah, Karen, it's a much comfier ride in the Road Warrior tonight than it was earlier today on the cold safety story. Wind chills already down below 40 degrees below zero, as Terry had already mentioned. Taking a look live at downtown Cedar Rapids right now, you can see very light traffic. On our way down here, though, we did run into some slick spots as some snow has been spitting out across the area, as some of that last gasp of moisture in the air has been squeezing out in the form of snow. Taking a look over at Quaker Oats right now, you can see the Cedar River, at least upstream from the roller dam, frozen solid right now. You see the billows of smoke and steam rising out of Quaker Oats. A very common scene across eastern Iowa as we're going down to wind chills not seen in years and temperatures some areas have literally never seen. So again, very dangerous conditions out here, and we'll continue to monitor the situation. Live in the Road Warrior, Nick Weig, Fox 28 News.
And we love seeing your winter weather photos and videos. Take a look at this one of a sundog taken by Ellen this morning in Vinton. If you can safely send us winter weather photos and videos, chime in. It's easy to do. Go to fox28iowa.com/chime in, then click on Add Your Media, and you could see your submissions right here on Fox 28 News at 9. Terry?
And Karen, for about a week now, we've seen this air mass coming from the North Pole, and we've been watching it inching southward every single day. And finally this afternoon, it really came in here with a punch. The winds picked up and the temperatures, as you can see, falling right before your eyes. We just went from 13 below to -15 in Cedar Rapids, and now our wind chill has reached 44 degrees below zero. And by tomorrow morning, a lot of places will be in the range of 25 to 30 below on the actual temperatures. That's not including the wind, and that's going to put those wind chills in the extremely dangerous category of 50 to 60 below zero all across eastern Iowa. We do have this wind chill warning currently in effect until noon on Thursday, so a very prolonged period of extremely low wind chills, and this is what I would call a PDS wind chill warning. Particularly dangerous situation. Your exposed skin by tomorrow morning could freeze in less than 5 minutes. You really need to respect this type of cold and wind. Temperatures now looking this way, already 20 below in Decorah, -18 up around New Hampton. Even down south, Iowa City and Washington now have reached -8. And of course, we do have the bad wind chills, and they are pushing 50 below in parts of our northern counties and could get close to 60 below by early tomorrow morning. Nothing on our radars to really show you here, but there have been some snow showers around eastern Iowa, cloud top so low you can't even detect it on the radar. But a few of those are out there as the cold air squeezes out the available moisture. And tomorrow morning, look at that start to the day there, 29 below zero, the straight up temperature. During the day, I don't think we're going to get any warmer than -19 for a high. And throughout the day, the wind chills will stay in the range of 50 to 55 degrees below zero. There's the Arctic front, which is surging southward tonight. Just a few days ago, that was way up in northern Canada. So it's making very good progress here. And wind chills throughout this area here are in the area tonight of 50 to 60 below zero. That's the upstream air and wind chills that are moving southeast towards us. The worst period for the wind chills will be overnight tonight and through about 7 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. Throughout that period there, wind chills of about 40 to 58 below zero, a pretty good possibility throughout eastern Iowa, and then things start to improve by the time we get to late Thursday afternoon and especially on Friday. Now, the coldest temperature on record in Cedar Rapids is 29 below. I still think we'll reach 32 below at some point here, and so that would set the all-time record for the coldest temp ever in Cedar Rapids. The coldest high temperature for tomorrow is -15, and we're only going for -19 here, so we should break that record. The coldest wind chill ever measured, -55, and I think we got a good chance of breaking that record as well. So that's all coming up in the next 24 hours. These are some of the other record cold low temperatures from our major cities here in eastern Iowa, and most of those are around 32 to 34 below zero, but we do have models that are indicating temperatures several degrees colder than that. So every city in eastern Iowa at least has a chance of breaking their all-time coldest temperature records. And here in Cedar Rapids, just to break it down for you once again, we're going for 29 below tomorrow morning, Thursday morning at -32, and then Friday we start at -7, but some much warmer weather expected later in the day, but at least 72 consecutive hours with temperatures not reaching zero. So the Arctic blast will be with us through Thursday morning. Then it starts to shift off to the east. The winds will come back around to a more southerly direction, and that should spread some warmer air into eastern Iowa, and it could bring some snow back to the area on Thursday afternoon, an inch, perhaps 2 inches of accumulation, and then things get much better for the upcoming weekend. Tonight, there's your range of temperatures, -33 up in the far north to -26 in the south. Intensely cold conditions, wind chills to 55 or 60 below. Tomorrow, temperatures staying 17 to 21 below, well, even with some sunshine around. And the extended forecast then does show some much deserved improvement. By the time we get to Saturday, we're up to 35 degrees, a major pattern change there, and even some rain expected on Sunday with a high temperature of around 38 degrees. So we've got 3 really tough days ahead of us, and then a break in the overall pattern for a few days.
Limit these things within reason, and to make sure that your children have a balanced lifestyle.
This cold weather could be causing cabin fever and increased screen time for your kids. What one study says about its impact on how your children learn when Fox 28 News at 9 returns. A Waterloo man is now accused of killing a Grundy Center man. Armando Adame is charged with first-degree murder in the death of Michael Johns. Investigators say Johns was reported missing back in October 2017. His body was found near Charles City 2 months later. An autopsy revealed Johns was shot in the head. Adame was already serving a 25-year sentence for having weapons while being a felon. He could face life in prison without parole if he's convicted on the murder charge.
To your health tonight, school is out for bad weather again, and perhaps you've resorted to plopping the kids in front of the TV or video games, but too much screen time can harm how well they learn. A recent study published in JAMA Pediatrics shows a link between excessive screen time and delays in a young child's development. Researchers studied more than 2,400 families who reported screen time of more than 2 hours a day on average. The study shows such students performed poorly on developmental skills like language and problem solving. Corridor experts say the effects can be long-term if there is excessive use of devices.
At a restaurant, oh, fine, take my phone, right? That's not necessarily going to have long-term consequences. Parents need to not get too stressed out about every single thing they do with their child and focus more on the big picture.
The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends no more than 1 hour a day of screen time for very young children. And if you choose screen time, try to make it an educational program. These days, with all of the technology, you may feel like you're being watched. We learned this week that for some, it might actually be true. A glitch found in Apple's FaceTime app allowed callers to hear the people they were calling, even when the person didn't pick up. As Fox 28 News national correspondent Christine Frizzau explains, that's now bringing up some serious questions about who's on the other end.
For those with an iPhone, it's become a modern-day norm. FaceTiming with your friends.
Check it out. Hey, guys.
Hi. But this week's discovery of a glitch that allows you to hear those you're calling on FaceTime, even if they don't pick up, is raising some red flags about privacy and a state of technology some experts call concerning. Nicole Turner-Lee is a tech expert with the Brookings Institution in Washington and says Apple had a good rapid response to fix the glitch, but believes
this is just the beginning.
Now, we're going to continue to see similar glitches like we saw with Apple. The innovation is beyond our wildest imagination of what we could actually do. As a result of that, we as consumers place a lot of trust in those products and services.
The question now in 2019 is what more should be done to protect our privacy? Many, including some lawmakers themselves, think it's up to Congress to act, and act fast.
The idea that these companies are going to self-regulate and get it right, I just don't think we can expect that.
While we've seen heads of major tech companies grilled by Congress and legislation introduced, nothing has been passed in terms of actual rules and ways to hold big tech accountable.
There's not this clear-cut guideline on things that they can and cannot do. And we've seen, I think, a culture of permissionless forgiveness, which says, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry can only go so far.
In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzell.
And in other consumer news, that free Wi-Fi at coffee shops, hotels, and other businesses may look inviting, but computer experts warn joining them at your own risk. They say it's easy for hackers to jump in and grab your personal data. Experts say hackers can create an imposter version of the Wi-Fi with just a laptop and a small device you can get online. Now, if you're closer to the fake signal than the real deal, you'll only see the fake one. From there, hackers can get your passwords and see anything you're doing. Experts say be careful of what you're doing while you're on a public Wi-Fi.
There's always a risk when you join any type of public Wi-Fi. And if you're going to be on public Wi-Fi, make sure you're not working with sensitive data.
Peter Tran is a cyber defense expert. He says if you don't have to get on public Wi-Fi, don't. A game changer for patients suffering from heart issues, and it's smaller than a quarter. New tomorrow on Fox 28 Morning Live, one of the first patients to test out the world's smallest pacemaker.
We were just joking around like it would kind of be cool to have an away game just to get out of this weather. But, you know, we love Hilton, love our crowd.
The cold canceled classes in Ames, but the Cyclones are not letting that stop them. How the Iowa State men are prepping for 2 big home games on the hardwood. You're watching the Fox 28 News at 9.
And now, Fox 28 Sports with Zach Hanley.
In the last 9 duels between Iowa and Nebraska, they've all been Hawkeyes. Tom Brands and company have won 9 straight against the Huskers, but Sunday's meeting in Lincoln Land might not be as easy as it sounds. For one, Nebraska is a top 10 team. Now, they're not undefeated like Iowa is, but their losses at NC State, at Penn State, and against Wisconsin are against top 15 ranked teams. So the Huskers have some firepower. Brand's message to his team this weekend, just be ready.
As you know, and me being a broken record, we got to get ready for all 10. We're going to put 10 guys on the mat, and we're going to expect to see 10 top-notch performances.
7 games into Big 12 play, Iowa State is 1 game back in the conference standings, and with a favorable slate left, it's easy to start looking ahead at what this team could do, especially with wins like they have, aka at Texas Tech and against Kansas. But that is not the case for the newly ranked Cyclones. Steve Prohm has made sure his guys are locked in for the final 2 games this week. First, it's West Virginia, then whoever is next on their schedule.
I think these guys know how much we respect West Virginia and Coach Huggins and how tough and physical of a game we know it's going to be, and so it goes no further than that.
You got to take care of home court. That's big in conference play. We were just joking around like it would kind of be cool to have an away game just to get out of this weather. But, you know, we love Hilton, love our crowd, and, you know, that will be big time for us.
Speaking of big time, let's talk about Megan Gustafson for a second, because I'm not really sure everyone realizes just how good she is. Yes, she's the school's all-time leading scorer in Iowa basketball history, men or women. But nationally, she leads the country in points scored, points per game, field goals made, field goals percentage, and double-doubles. Yes, Megan Gustafson is really, really good at basketball. You could say Kristen Scott and the Cyclone women were heating up Hilton tonight. Iowa State hosting Texas Tech, and this got ugly in a hurry. Scott splashes home the triple. ISU scored the game's first 10 points, and it was all over after that. Bridget Carlton gets the scoop shot to fall. She led the way with 27. Cyclones cruise 105 to 66. Christopher?
Thank you, Zach. Next on Fox 28 News at 9, the recent shooting in Houston shines a light on officers in the line of fire. We'll take a look at the dangerous duties police face each day. You're watching Fox 28 News at 9. All 5 of the Houston police officers hurt in the shooting are expected to survive. Right now, 3 are still in the hospital. 2 suspects opening fire yesterday while the officers were trying to serve a search warrant at what they say was a drug house. Police shooting and killing the suspects, a man and a woman, in that gunfight. The officers are not being named because they work undercover. The Houston shooting highlights the dangers the men and women in blue face. Fox 28 News national correspondent Michelle Macaluso takes a look at what they deal with each day.
Gunfire erupted as Houston police tried to serve a drug warrant. 4 police officers were shot. 2 remain in critical condition. And one of the officers involved has been shot at before in the line of duty.
We are sick and tired of having targets on our back. We are sick and tired of having dirt bags trying to take our lives.
There are roughly 650,000 law enforcement officers nationwide. Every day, they risk their lives to serve and protect Americans. And at any given time, something could go wrong.
Sometimes it's the most routine part of a law enforcement officer's job that he or she will encounter something unexpected, and that's the danger, that's the stress, that's the challenge that law enforcement officers face on a daily basis around the country.
This year, 5 police officers have been shot and killed in the line of duty.
Compared to last year, January of 2018, there were 8 deaths in the line of duty this time last year.
According to preliminary data from the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, 145 officers died on the job last year, up 12% from 2017. It's a dangerous job, but Dave Brandt says Americans need to know that police are here to help.
When there's a tragedy involving death or injury, people need to understand what created that, what prompted that, and hopefully contribute to what could be done to mitigate those kinds of events in the future.
In Washington, I'm Michelle Macaluso.
The president and Congress have just over 2 weeks to agree on border security funding, or we'll face another government shutdown. Right now, government agencies and federal attractions are just getting back up and running, like the Herbert Hoover Presidential Library and Museum. That opened back up just today. Lawmakers are set to meet tomorrow to start renegotiations. Texas recently passed a statewide anti-sanctuary city law, and it's spurring a flurry of lawsuits. Fox 28 News correspondent Cheryl Atkinson heads to a border town to get residents' take on this controversial law.
Laredo, Texas is a border town and a bustling commercial center that's 95% Hispanic. But Laredo Mayor Pete Sines says there's one thing it's not.
Laredo is not a sanctuary city.
Laredo's not a sanctuary city.
So you might be surprised to learn that the city of Laredo officially opposes Senate Bill 4, or SB 4, the new Texas state law banning sanctuary cities.
Texans expect us to keep them safe, and that is exactly what we are going to do.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed the anti-sanctuary city bill. It allows police to ask a suspect whether he's in the U.S. legally and requires police to cooperate with federal immigration officials.
We don't like that SB4 simply because it's got all these dangers, and we've outlined basically the dangers. Racial profiling is one of them.
So Laredo is not a sanctuary city, but it opposes aspects of this anti-sanctuary
Correct,
city
aspects
law.
of it, right.
In January of 2017, the president signed an executive order to withhold federal taxpayer funds from sanctuary cities. A federal judge in California blocked the move, calling it unconstitutionally broad. Parts of the Texas anti-sanctuary law are also on hold amid a court challenge by the border town El Cenizo, Maverick County, and 5 of Texas's biggest cities. Laredo officials insist they already had a winning formula: good cooperation with federal officials prior to SB 4.
We run across you because of some
you know, whether it's breaking the law, you know, a moving violation.
Joe Baez is the police department's public information officer.
If we can't identify you or who you are, we have no other choice. And the highly likeliness is that if you are, you know, if you wind up finding out that you are here illegally, we'll detain you and we'll turn you over to INS.
Now, a footnote to that lawsuit against San Antonio. It claims the police chief used city services to help the suspected illegal immigrants rather than turning them over to federal officials. Cheryl Atkinson, Full Measure, Washington.
And you can watch Full Measure Sunday mornings at 9 right here on Fox 28.
And the wind chills up in our northern counties have already reached 50 below zero. That's the cold air that'll surge over the rest of the region tonight and provide us with all-time record low temperatures. Be back to talk more about the historic cold snap in your Weather First forecast.
If congressional Democrats' obsession with senselessly obstructing President Trump had not delayed it, this week we would have heard the president's State of the Union address. Unfortunately, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi refused to negotiate on funding enhanced security at our southern border, so the president's State of the Union address will come a week later than it was intended to be given. That drama aside, as I look at the state of our union today, I have to say that our country has made incredible progress over the past year. Our economy is booming and is on pace to be the envy of the world once again. According to the Department of Labor, there are now more job openings than people to fill them in America. Economic optimism has hit all-time highs, and wage growth is hitting new milestones. The president has made great strides on the international arena, holding accountable dictators in North Korea and Venezuela, and renegotiating trade deals like NAFTA that were hurting our economy. The president is ensuring our national security by going back to the negotiating table in order to put an end to the crisis taking place at our southern border by building a barrier there. Critics can say whatever they want about the president's methods and style of delivery. One thing is undeniable: the man gets results. Here's the bottom line. If you took a step back and analyzed the past 2 years under President Trump through a nonpartisan lens, would you say your life has gotten better? Our economy is thriving, our nation is more secure, and the state of our union is strong. Share with me your bottom line. Follow me on Twitter at BorisEP and let me know your thoughts on today's segment.
The temperatures around eastern Iowa have already dropped about 15 degrees since late afternoon, and that's already putting temps down to 20 below zero in New Hampton and Decorah, minus 16 in Waterloo, and there's Old Wine at minus 19. So the minus 15 line pretty close to Highway 30 now and pushing southward very quickly. As far as the wind chills go, oh man, this is brutal. 53 degrees below zero in New Hampton. That's the coldest I have seen in a long, long time here in eastern Iowa. And by tomorrow morning, this part of our viewing area could see wind chills as cold as 60 below zero. That is very impressive and extremely dangerous. Got to respect that type of cold. On our radars here, there are a few scattered snow showers around, but nothing that's showing up on the radar. Tomorrow morning, there's your temperature, pretty close to 29 degrees below zero. And later in the day, we do not get any better than minus 19 for the high temperature all day long. Wind chills of 50 to 55 below. The worst of these wind chills will be with us through 7 a.m. on Thursday. During that period there, wind chills of about 40 to 58 below zero expected around eastern Iowa. And I do think we have a pretty good chance of eventually breaking the all-time coldest temperature in Cedar Rapids. That's 29 below. I'm eventually forecasting us to get to 32 below by Thursday morning. Our coldest high temperature tomorrow is minus 15. I'm going for minus 19. And I think even the coldest wind chill is attainable here in Cedar Rapids. I'm looking for a wind chill here about minus 56. And the big chill breaks down this way then. 29 below zero for Wednesday morning in Cedar Rapids, minus 32 for Thursday morning. Finally, things beginning to improve later in the day on Friday, but before that happens, 72 consecutive hours with below zero temperatures. Now, the good news, we do see a break in this by the time we get to the weekend. Then temperatures could reach up to around 30 to 35 degrees, maybe even 40 in some areas by Sunday. And our next system will probably bring rain as opposed to snow to close out the weekend. A big change there.
It'll be a nice one. Thank you, Terry. Next on Fox 28 News at 9, this isn't your average pickup game. Why this group decided to break out the hockey sticks on an icy highway when Fox 28 News at 9 comes back.
Well, these drivers found a silver lining while they're stuck on the snow on the highway. This is in Canada. They broke out the hockey sticks and played a pickup game. A 50-car pileup blocked the road ahead. Now, according to the CBC News, no one was hurt in the big crash. The impromptu hockey game, apparently the best way to pass the time till the highway reopened.
Animals need to stay warm too, so they need our help during this brutal cold spell. The city of Cedar Rapids has some guidelines to follow. First, keep your pets indoors even if they're outdoor pets. If they really want to be outside, make sure they have access to fresh, unfrozen water, food, and a warm place to hunker down. Also, wipe off your dog's legs and stomach when they come inside. Otherwise, they could ingest salt, antifreeze, and other potentially dangerous chemicals when they lick their paws.
And Terry,
yeah,
man, I don't know what to say. It's just dangerously cold outside.
It sure is. And tomorrow morning is going to be an eye-opening experience for anybody out and about in this type of weather. And I cannot stress enough, this is really serious, deadly type cold. You do not want to be stranded anywhere in the open country. Already the wind chill in New Hampton is 53 below zero. We're at minus 43 here in Cedar Rapids. We don't have anything on the radar here, although there are a few snow showers around. But tomorrow morning we should begin the day close to 29 below, and our high will reach only minus 19. That's a sad number.
It is. Thank you, Terry. Please stay indoors if you can, and have a great rest of the night.
And be very careful. Have a good night. CBS 2 News 10 at 10 starts now with a winter weather alert. This is a live look at the CBS 2 road warrior. Eastern Iowa is bracing for life-threatening cold tonight, and the worst is yet to come.
We have Weather First team coverage beginning with Chief Meteorologist Terry Swales. Terry is tracking the record-breaking cold and how our night is shaping up. Terry?
Well, the cold air has been surging rapidly southward since this afternoon, and we do have wind chill warnings that are now in effect. And this is what I would call a particularly dangerous situation wind chill warning. We do not see wind chills like this very often. It's probably been over 3 decades since anything like this here in eastern Iowa. Wind chills will be reaching nearly 60 below zero up in our northern counties by early tomorrow morning, a minus 50 down in the south. Our current temperatures have already reached 22 below zero in New Hampton and Decorah. There's Owine at minus 19 and Waterloo and Dubuque minus 17. So this continues to quickly press southward tonight. And now we're going to show you the wind chills, and this will really open your eyes. Minus 55 in New Hampton. That's as cold as I have seen in eastern Iowa since probably the mid-80s. Minus 50 right now in Owine, and even here in Cedar Rapids, we've gotten down to 43 below on the wind chill here. So extremely dangerous conditions. Your exposed skin will freeze in less than 5 minutes. You really need to respect what's going on out there tonight. Our radars are not showing any precipitation, despite the fact we've had a few scattered snow showers around eastern Iowa, some blowing snow out in the open country. And tomorrow morning, looks like temperatures will be very close to the all-time record low at about 29 below zero here in Cedar Rapids. And later in the day, we're not even expecting to get our high temperature more than minus 19, and with wind chills of 50 to 55 below zero all day long. An exceptionally cold day expected around eastern Iowa. And now meteorologist Brandon Marshall is here to explain how rare this brutally cold weather is.
And when we talk about this historic cold snap, we're not just talking about the potentially record-breaking temperatures, but just the duration, how long we're going to spend below zero. And by our calculations, it's roughly going to be around 72 hours or 3 days. I went digging through the record books, which temperature records go back to the late 1800s, and I found just 6 times have we had 3 or more consecutive days below zero, the last of which occurred back in 1996 when we had 4 days. Now, at the bottom of the graphic, those temperatures are the 4 coldest on record in Cedar Rapids, a couple minus 27 and minus 28 days. But the record the coldest temperature on record was in 2009, 10 years ago, when the temperature dipped down to minus 29. So we could break that not only tonight, but tomorrow night. Current temperatures now in Cedar Rapids, minus 16. But we're going to go all the way to Antarctica right now, which is typically a cold place to be. And the current temperature at the Palmer Station is 32 degrees. That is above zero. And Karen and Christopher, the penguins are actually warmer than we are here in Iowa.
Rather be at the South Pole right now. Thank you, Brandon. Organizations across the corridor are taking steps to make sure everyone has a place to stay during this extreme cold.
CBS 2 News reporter Gabriela Vidal explains where people can go to be safe and warm. Gabby.
Christopher and Karen, one of those locations is right here at the Willis Dady Homeless Shelter. This shelter and their emergency overflow shelter are open now and will remain open until noon on Thursday to keep people outside of the cold that need to be somewhere safe. But they're not the only groups that are doing something like this. They're getting help from other services to make sure clients stay warm.
Around this time of weather, there's no way, had I been in my own place, I would not be out under no circumstances.
Cassandra Nelson says even in the winter, there's not many places to keep warm after shelters close.
I have 4 or 5 blankets even in my wheelchair that I put on, plus extra clothing, layers of clothes just to stay warm.
Even 5 minutes outside this week can be dangerous for her, which is why the Cedar Rapids Library is expanding its hours.
And just that little bit of extension of time helps people who are leaving shelter and need a place to go directly. It also helps families when children aren't in school and they've got no warm place to be during the day.
And it was a blessing this morning to come in and they had things that we can eat and hot drinks to keep warm.
Willis Dady staff say even though both shelters will stay open during the day, they appreciate having more services to protect against the cold.
Regardless of the number coming in, we won't turn anybody away. It's mostly just a space and accommodation issue. You know, we have 2 very small little restrooms. We don't have any showers. We don't have any laundry, and we don't have any food facilities.
But she says people in the community are lending a helping hand with food and clothing donations, while library staff are keeping spirits warm in other ways.
We've got some activities for people to do so that they're not bored on a really cold day.
This is helping a whole lot of people. Otherwise, people wouldn't have anywhere else to go.
Willis Dady workers say they still need donations in the form of hats and gloves in case their clients do end up going outside. And they also say that anyone that sees someone outside in the cold that may need somewhere to go, to reach out to them, ask them where they're going, and if they do need help, contact police. Don't want to leave anyone outside in the cold on these dangerous temperatures. Covering the corridor in Cedar Rapids, Gabriela Vidal, CBS 2 News.
Developing right now, the bitter cold causing power outages in eastern Iowa. Mid-American Energy says 656 customers are in the dark in Black Hawk County. They should get power back about 1 a.m. Alliant Energy reports 230 customers without power in Keokuk County. They hope to have the power back on there about 11 tonight.
Developing tonight, our brutal cold is forcing the U.S. Postal Service to shut down in Iowa. The Postal Service tells CBS 2 News they are suspending operations across the state. That means they will not pick up or deliver any mail tomorrow. Some offices may be open, but will have limited hours. The brutal cold is forcing hundreds of schools, organizations, and businesses to close tomorrow. That full list is scrolling at the bottom of your screen now, and it's also available online at cbs2iowa.com.
We are now descending into the grip of this week's dangerous, vicious cold snap. It's set to shatter records and put your heating system to the test. CBS 2 News reporter Nick Weig shows us how you can protect yourself and your home from the elements as much as possible and save yourself from a costly heating problem.
No, that's not as bad as I thought it would. Ooh, there we go. All right, let's admit it's not going to be easy to do this, especially now that we're below zero and some of the snow drifts can be several feet deep. But you've got to make sure that your gas apparatus is free of any snow.
uncover the vent portion of that. There's a little round disc on those gas meters. That needs to breathe to have gas pressure in your house. Use your hands, don't use a shovel because you don't want to break the pipe.
Of course, any heating system needs air, and it's going to have to bring that air in from the outside. So you want to make sure that your intake pipe is free of any snow or ice that's collected. Some posts going around social media tell homeowners to turn up the thermostat to protect their heating system. Alliant Energy says it really depends on your home.
If your house isn't the best insulated, if it's an older house, if you let the inside drop too much, the core where the thermostat is might drop to 65, but the very edges where you have the water in your walls might drop below freezing if it's not insulated very well.
Alliant says its grid is standing up well to the weather, but if an outage occurs, the weather won't keep their crews from getting you back up and running.
Our crews are on standby and they're ready to go to repair anything, but so far we've not seen many issues. Fingers crossed, that's what we're all hoping for.
We also spoke to several heater repair companies who say they are adding resources to keep up with demand, making sure no one goes without heat for long. Issues ranging from frozen pipes to simple mechanical fixes due to aging systems. And with snow piles across the area getting as high as, let's say, a mailbox, it's a good idea to take special care of the area in front of your box so that letter carriers can get to them as easily as possible in the cold and snow. Covering the corridor in Marion, Nick Weig, CBS 2 News.
The Cedar Rapids Fire Department is using additional equipment as the colder temperatures settle in. Leaders tell CBS 2 News many calls remain the same throughout the year. What changes is how they take on some situations depending on the temperature.
In the middle of summer, if somebody trips and falls on the sidewalk and needs assistance up, we may go routine or no lights and siren to that call, where now we will be going lights and siren to that call, knowing that the elements frostbite can happen within 5 minutes.
The team also has ice suits on hand in the event that someone should fall through the ice.
Many Carter restaurants are adjusting to keep their workers safe. They tell CBS 2 News they are reducing hours so employees can get home during the worst of the cold. Some coffee shops are cutting all staff except for the owners, and some restaurants with full service are making sure their servers have a safe ride home.
They all go out to the cars accompanied, the cars are starting, that they all get home.
Keep our staff and our community safer by just being in before sundown and shutting down a little earlier.
Now, if you do venture out to eat, check your restaurant's Facebook page or give them a call to see if and when they're open. You can stay on top of alerts and see the hour-by-hour forecast with the CBS 2 weather app. It's free and available right now in your favorite app store.
Still to come on CBS 2 News at 10.
Severe cold of a historic nature coming to eastern Iowa. We'll tell you what you need to know in your Weather First forecast.
Parents are having a hard time keeping their kids active this winter. Why doctors say giving them extra screen time is not the answer.
And new tonight, tuition is going up again at Iowa and Iowa State. When it goes into effect and how much more students will be shelling out.
Now you can get CBS 2 News and weather updates on your Amazon Echo. Download the Alexa app, click on Settings and go to Flash Briefings. Click Add Content and search CBS 2 Iowa. Select and click Enable. Everywhere you need us to be, CBS 2 News.
A Waterloo man is now accused of killing a Grundy Center man. Armando Adame is charged with first-degree murder in the death of Michael Johns. Investigators say Johns was reported missing back in October 2017. His body was found near Charles City 2 months later. An autopsy revealed Johns was shot in the head. Adame was already serving a 25-year sentence for having weapons while being a felon. He could face life in prison without parole if he's convicted on the murder charge.
New tonight at 10, tuition is once again going up at 2 of Iowa's 3 public universities. Students at Iowa and Iowa State will be paying 3 to 5% more this fall. Tuition will be staying the same at Northern Iowa. The Board of Regents blames the hike on the continued lack of funding from the state. Iowa and Iowa State are asking for at least $7 million more in funding. Last year, lawmakers cut $11 million out of their budgets.
Temperatures are dropping dangerously low. You know that. Your kids are out of school. They may be glued to their smartphones, computers, or the TV. Now, you may want to think twice before you let them sit in front of a screen all break. Canadian researchers have found a link between excessive screen time and developmental problems with language or social skills. We are talking about more than 2 hours a day. The study looked at children between ages 2 and 3. They showed delays in language and social skills a couple of years later, but that does not tell the whole story.
There's some interesting studies that suggest one of the reasons it does that isn't because television itself is bad, but because kids who spend too much time on television are spending less time on social interaction with their parents. They're also spending sometimes less time sleeping.
Experts suggest setting up a media plan with your kids to find a balance between screen time and family time. We've included tips on our website, cbs2iowa.com.
There is a game changer for patients suffering from heart issues, and it's smaller than a quarter. Coming up tomorrow on CBS 2 This Morning, meet one of the first patients to test out the world's smallest pacemaker. Terry?
Hey Karen, in parts of our area, wind chills have already reached 55 degrees below zero. Dangerously cold air is now surging through the area, and we're looking at historic cold temperatures here in the next 24 hours. We'll be back to talk about the big cold snap in your weather first forecast right after this.
Listen throughout the day for your weather first forecast on I-1071 All the Hits when you're away from your TV.
Welcome back, everyone. Intensely cold air is now sweeping its way through the upper Midwest, sending temperatures plummeting and wind chills to near record levels around eastern Iowa. We are currently at minus 16 for our temperature in Cedar Rapids. The wind chill has now made it down to minus 43 degrees. All across the region, wind chill warnings are in effect, and these are long-term wind chill warnings. They will be out until noon on Thursday for wind chills that'll reach dangerous levels of 50 to 60 degrees below zero. So this is what I call a PDS wind chill warning, a particularly dangerous situation. Your skin, your exposed skin, will freeze in less than 5 minutes by the time we get to those wind chills of 50 or 60 below early tomorrow morning. Very dangerous stuff there. You have to respect that. Temperatures. Actual temperatures have already hit 24 below zero in New Hampton, 22 below around Decorah, and you can see Owine's getting close to that minus 20 level too at minus 19, and there's Dubuque already with a reading of 18 degrees below zero. And here's the wind chills, and this is the part that gets really ridiculous. 57 degrees below zero now on the wind chill in New Hampton. That is just incredibly cold, probably the lowest I've seen here in at least 35 years. And that's the type of wind chills that'll be pushing across the rest of the region here as we go through the overnight hours. Now, we've had a few scattered snow showers around. They are not showing up on the radar tonight. The cloud tops are just so low, can't even detect them, but they're just widely scattered. No big deal with those. But tomorrow morning, this is a big deal. The temperature should be close to 29 degrees below zero, right around the all-time record low. And later in the day, we're not expected to get above 19 below for the high temperature. And all day long, those wind chills will be hovering around 50 to 55 degrees below zero. So there's your Arctic front. That's what's surged through here today, sending this extremely cold air all the way from the North Pole right into the upper Midwest. The polar vortex is definitely centered right in here tonight. These are some of the wind chills across the state of Minnesota now, and they're in that range of 50 to 60 below. So all that cold air continues to pivot southeast towards us, and that'll have us in its grips here for the next 72 hours. In terms of the wind chills, the worst of them will be in this period here from tonight all the way to 7 a.m. on Thursday morning. And during that period, wind chills of 40 to maybe 60 below zero will be a good possibility across eastern Iowa. So extremely dangerous conditions through that period there. But after that, as you can see, by the time we get to Friday, things definitely improve as the core of the cold air shifts off to the northeast. But here in Cedar Rapids, I'm thinking by the time we get to Thursday morning, we'll have a low temperature close to 32 below zero. That would break the all-time coldest temperature record here of 29 below. Tomorrow's high of 19 below zero would break the coldest high temperature for tomorrow. And our wind chill could actually exceed minus 55, which would be the coldest wind chill ever recorded in Cedar Rapids. The last time we were that bad was back in 1985. Now, around the rest of our area, these are the all-time record cold temperatures here, and we do have models that are actually colder than this, but it's going to be a little bit tougher to get them in some of our other cities because Cedar Rapids is certainly the lowest at minus 29, but everybody does have a chance of getting very close to the all-time record temperatures before this thing gets on out of here. And breaking this down once again, in Cedar Rapids, we're at 29 below tomorrow morning. By Thursday morning, thinking about minus 32, and then Friday we start at minus 7, but we'll eventually get above the freezing mark by the time we get to the afternoon. And with that warmer air, there is some bad news. It does look like that's going to generate another little band of snow. That's expected to come in here on Thursday. Could be an inch or two of snow around parts of eastern Iowa, but it will be worth it because temperatures after that are going above the freezing mark for the weekend. But tonight, there's your low temperatures off the charts. Minus 33 to minus 26, intensely cold conditions. For tomorrow, high temperatures not even getting above minus 20 in our northern counties, about minus 17 in the south. Wind chills all day long, 50 to 55 below, and your extended forecast has the chance for some snow on Thursday, and then there it is, some much needed warmer air by the time we get to Sunday. Temperatures should be up around 38 degrees, and some rain showers will be a possibility. But at least some good news in the long term there. Reporter Nick Weig now tracking current conditions from the Road Warrior. Let's go out to Nick and see what's going on.
Well, Terry, it's cold. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. It is dangerously cold. That's why we're staying inside the Road Warrior tonight, where we can regulate our own temperature. Now, outside in downtown Cedar Rapids right now, you can see it's very still. The Cedar River, at least above the roller dam, frozen solid already. No surprise there. But as you've been talking about, Terry, you know, one thing that's surprising when we're down this low is usually it's very calm. And as you take a look at the flag over at Quaker Oats right now, that is a stiff breeze blowing that's sending those wind chills already down below the 40 degree below zero mark and even 50 or 60 degrees below zero further to our north. So a very frigid, dangerously cold night. If you can stay home, absolutely do it. Reporting live from the Road Warrior, Nick Weig, CBS 2 News.
Coming up in sports, the Cyclones were back home and were hot on the hardwood. How the Iowa State women hung 100 on Texas Tech next on CBS 2.
And now, CBS 2 Sports with Zach Hanley.
The last 9 duels between Iowa and Nebraska have been all Hawkeyes. Tom Brands and company have won 9 straight against the Huskers, but Sunday's meeting in Lincoln Land might not be as easy as it sounds. For one, Nebraska is a top 10 team. Now, they're not undefeated like Iowa is, but their losses at NC State, at Penn State, and Wisconsin are against top-ranked teams. So the Huskers have some firepower. Brand's message to his boys, though, just be ready this weekend.
As you know, and maybe in a broken record, we got to get ready for all 10. We're going to put 10 guys on the mat, and we're going to expect to see 10 top-notch performances.
7 games in the Big 12 play. Iowa State is 1 game back in the conference standings, and with a favorable slate left, it's easy to start looking ahead at what this team could do, especially with the wins they have, aka at Texas Tech and Kansas. But that's not the case for the newly ranked Cyclones. Steve Prohm has made sure his guys are locked in for the next 2 games this week. First, it's West Virginia, then whoever is next on their schedule.
I think these guys know how much we respect West Virginia and Coach Huggins and how tough and physical of a game we know it's going to be, and so it goes no further than that.
You got to take care of home court. That's big in conference play. We were just joking around like it would kind of be cool to have an away game just to get out of this weather. But, you know, we love Hilton, love our crowd, and, you know, that will be big time for us.
Speaking of big time, let's talk about Megan Gustafson for a second, because I'm not really sure everyone realizes just how good she is. Yes, she's the school's all-time leading scorer in Iowa basketball history, men or women. But nationally, she leads the country in points scored, points per game, field goals made, field goal percentage, and double-doubles. Gustafson, really, really good at basketball. You could say Kristen Scott and the Cyclone women were heating up Hilton tonight. Iowa State hosting Texas Tech, and this got ugly in a hurry. Scott splashes home the triple. ISU scored the game's first 10 points, and after that, it was all over. Bridget Carlton gets the scoop shot to fall. She led the way with 27. Cyclones cruise 105-66. Karen?
Thanks, Zach. Right now, a live look at our Cedar Rapids Skycam, and coming up, Chief Meteorologist Terry Swales will break down the frigid hour-by-hour forecast.
Chief Meteorologist Terry Swales back now with a bitter and dangerous and vicious forecast. Terry.
Can't overemphasize the significance of the cold air that's coming in here tonight. If you just look at the temperatures now, in New Hampton, it's already 24 below zero. The minus 20 line is getting real close to highway 20 there. The wind chill in New Hampton, 57 degrees below zero, and some spots in our northern counties will probably get close to 60 below here tonight. Obviously, they already are. And even down to Cedar Rapids, I think 55 below zero is a distinct possibility. Dangerously cold conditions. Your exposed skin will freeze in less than 5 minutes in wind chills of 50 below. And so that's what we have to look forward to tomorrow morning. Actual temperatures 29 below, the high minus 19.
Unprecedented.
Yep.
Stay safe out there, folks. Get the latest breaking news alerts with the CBS 2 News weather app.